The planet had no name on any official chart. Most explorers called it a dead world, a forgotten place where old research stations rusted under a pale sky. Leon Carter never planned to land there. He was only surveying the outer belt when his small ship was struck by an unexpected magnetic storm. The controls failed, alarms screamed, and his ship spun out of the safe lane and straight toward the barren surface. He fought to stabilize the craft, but the engines were already burned out. When he crashed, the ship slid across cracked earth and came to rest near an abandoned structure that looked half buried in sand. Leon crawled out of the broken hatch, coughing on smoke. His body hurt, but nothing felt broken. The sky above him was a dull blue, with streaks of white clouds wandering like tired ghosts. The air was breathable, but cold. He took a slow breath and tried to calm himself. He knew he had to check his supplies, search for shelter, and send a distress signal before the next storm arrived. He didn't expect to see footprints nearby. They were large, almost twice the length of his boots. The edges were sharp, the depth heavy. Something had walked there recently. Leon crouched beside them, brushing dust from the shape. They were not human. The spacing showed a long stride, powerful legs, and weight that likely matched something well above human size. His heart beat faster, unsure if he should call out or stay silent. But he had no real choice. If someone else was alive here, human or not, they might know how to survive. He followed the prints carefully, keeping his hand near the emergency tool at his belt. The footprints led him toward the ruined research building. Its doors were bent, its metal eaten by decades of storms. As he approached, he heard a sound inside, slow breathing, deep and steady, like a quiet drum echoing through the empty hall. Leon stopped at the entrance. "Hello? Is someone there?" The breathing paused. For a moment, there was silence so thick, he could feel it pressing on his ears. Then footsteps approached, heavy, confident, and unhurried. Leon stepped back as a tall shadow moved inside the dark hallway. It came closer, rising higher and higher, until the figure stepped into the light. She was an alien woman, at least 8 feet tall. Her skin was a soft silver hue, marked with faint glowing lines that pulsed gently like living patterns. Her hair was long and dark, tied behind her in a braid that fell almost to her waist. Her eyes were bright green, intelligent and alert, widening when she saw him. Leon raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not an enemy," he said quickly. "My ship crashed. I'm stranded." The alien woman watched him with a guarded expression. She didn't speak for a long moment, and Leon wondered if she understood human language at all. But then she nodded slowly. "I know," she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. "I saw the fire in the sky." Her accent was unusual, her tone deep but calm. Leon felt some of his fear ease. She stepped closer, towering over him, but not in a threatening way, just naturally large. "My name is Leon," he said. "I didn't expect anyone to be here." "I am Zara," she replied. "I also did not expect a human." Leon looked around. "Are you alone on this planet?" Zara hesitated. "Yes. It has been many cycles since I last saw another of my kind." Her voice carried a quiet sadness. Leon didn't ask more. Instead, he glanced back at his crashed ship. Smoke still rose from the destroyed engines. "I have a distress beacon," he said. "But it was damaged. I may need help repairing it." Zara considered his words, then she gestured for him to follow. "Come inside. The storms here are unpredictable. It is safer in the shelter." Leon followed her into the ancient structure. The inside was dim, the walls cracked, but parts of it still offered protection from the wind. She had arranged the place carefully. A corner with a small heat generator she must have repaired herself, storage crates stacked neatly, and a simple resting area made of old fabric and leaves. "You've been living here a long time," Leon said softly. Zara nodded. "My ship malfunctioned many cycles ago. The others escaped, but I did not. I survived because this place had basic supplies. But no one returns here now. It is forgotten." Leon understood how hopeless isolation could feel. He could see strength in her posture, discipline in her movements, but also the tiredness of someone who had been alone for far too long. Zara looked down at him again. "Your leg," she said, pointing. Leon glanced down and saw a small cut bleeding through his pant leg. He hadn't noticed it in the chaos. "It's nothing," he said. Zara shook her head and moved closer, kneeling so she was eye level with him. Even kneeling, she was tall. In this world, small wounds become dangerous. The dust carries infection. She reached for a container, opened it, and applied a cool salve to his cut. Her hands were large, but gentle. Her touch steady and careful. Leon felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. "Thank you," he said. Zara nodded. "Humans are smaller than I imagined," she said suddenly, studying him with innocent curiosity. "But your kind survives in many worlds." "That is interesting to me." Leon laughed softly. "Humans think the same about aliens." Zara tilted her head. "Do they?" "Well, not all aliens," Leon corrected quickly. "But someone like you. It's rare to meet anyone so strong-looking." Zara blinked, surprised. "Strong?" she repeated quietly, almost like she didn't believe it. Leon realized she wasn't used to compliments. Before he could speak again, a rumble shook the ground. The walls vibrated, dust falling from the ceiling. Leon grabbed a support beam, while Zara stood up, her eyes narrowing. "Storm," she said. "A big one." Wind roared through the entrance. The sky darkened as swirling sand approached like a giant wave. Leon ran to the doorway, but the sand sliced through the air with dangerous speed. Zara grabbed his arm and pulled him back. "You must not go out now," she said. "The storm will tear your skin." Leon felt a shiver. "How long will it last?" "Hours. Sometimes longer." He looked around. The shelter was sturdy but old. The storm outside grew louder, forcing him to raise his voice. "My food rations are limited." "What about you?" "I can share what I have," Zara said simply. "Survival is easier with two." Leon nodded gratefully. As the wind howled outside, Zara secured loose panels and reinforced the doorway using thick metal sheets. Her strength amazed him. She lifted heavy beams as if they were nothing. Leon tried to help, but he knew he was slowing her down more than assisting. When she finished, the inside of the shelter grew quieter. They sat near the small heat generator, the faint orange light reflecting on her silver skin. Leon felt the cold fade as warmth filled the narrow space. "How did you survive so long?" he asked. Zara wrapped her arms around her knees, though she kept her posture straight. "My people are trained for endurance," she said, "but even endurance has limits. Without hope of rescue, I thought I would die here eventually." Leon listened carefully. She wasn't saying it dramatically. She was describing a fact she had accepted. That made it even heavier. "I won't leave you here," Leon said firmly. "If I get rescued, you're coming with me. No matter what." Zara's eyes widened again. She stared at him like she wasn't sure she heard the words correctly. "Why?" she asked softly. "Because you saved me," Leon answered. "You didn't have to help, but you did. And because no one deserves to be left alone on a dead planet." Zara lowered her gaze. "You are strange," she murmured. "Humans usually fear what is bigger." Leon smiled. "Maybe I do. But I fear loneliness more." Zara looked at him again, and something in her expression softened, something gentle, cautious, but hopeful, like a flower blooming in harsh soil. The storm kept shaking the building. Hours passed. Leon and Zara talked quietly, sharing small pieces of their lives. She told him about her home world, a place with tall forests and glowing rivers. He told her about Earth, the oceans, and the taste of warm bread. She listened with fascination. At one point, the lights flickered, and Leon instinctively steadied himself. Zara placed her hand on the wall, bracing the structure with her strength. Her glowing lines brightened slightly, lighting the room. "You glow?" Leon asked. "It is normal for my species," she said. a sign of energy flow. It brightens when I am focused or when emotions are strong. Leon raised an eyebrow. Are your emotions strong now? Zara turned her face slightly away, the glow dimming. Perhaps. Leon felt a warmth in his chest unrelated to the generator. They were strangers, yet a connection was forming between them, one shaped by survival, honesty, and the strange comfort of knowing they were no longer alone. But the peace didn't last long. A loud crack tore through the air. One of the outer walls had weakened, metal splitting under the pressure of the storm. Zara reacted instantly, pulling Leon aside as debris fell where he had been sitting. We need to move deeper inside, she said. Leon followed her through the narrow corridor. The storm roared like a living creature trying to break the structure apart. They reached the central chamber. Safer, but smaller. Leon caught his breath. Shaken. Thank you, he said again. Zara nodded. I told you. Survival is easier with two. Leon smiled, though fear still lingered in his chest. Do you think the shelter will hold? Zara looked at the ceiling, analyzing the cracks. If it does not, then we will find another way. Leon admired her confidence. Even trapped, she didn't panic. She simply adapted. The storm continued through the night. Leon felt exhaustion slowly taking over. Zara noticed and offered him her resting space. You sleep, she said. I will watch. You need rest too, Leon argued. I have trained for long wakefulness. You have not. He didn't want to admit she was right, but his eyelids grew heavy. He lay down carefully. The fabric smelled like dry leaves and metal, but it was warm. Zara sat beside the entrance, her tall figure guarding him. Even in half-sleep, he felt safe knowing she was there. Before he drifted off, he whispered, Thank you, Zara. Zara looked down at him, her glowing lines pulsing gently. Rest, Leon. Tomorrow, we plan how to escape this world. Leon closed his eyes. The storm outside howled, trying to reach them. But inside the shelter he felt strangely calm. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing clearly. He was no longer alone, and neither was she. And somewhere in the quiet between wind and silence, a strange new bond was beginning to form, fragile, unexpected, and strong enough to change both their lives. The storm lasted far longer than Leon expected. When he finally opened his eyes, the first thing he heard was the soft hum of Zara's breathing. She sat near the narrow doorway of the chamber, still watching over him with steady focus. Even after many hours, she looked alert, though a faint tiredness rested beneath her calm features. Leon sat up slowly, brushing dust from his clothes. How long was I asleep? He asked quietly. Zara turned her head toward him. Many hours. The storm weakened but did not stop. Leon rose to his feet and stretched carefully. His body still hurt from the crash, but Zara's salve had reduced the pain in his leg. He stepped closer to the doorway and peeked through a small crack. The wind outside was calmer now, and though the sand still danced in thin spirals, the violent force from last night had faded. We might be able to go out soon, Leon said. Zara nodded. Yes, we must check what the storm damaged. She stood, towering above him again. Despite her height, her movements were quiet, almost graceful. Leon admired how she kept herself ready, even in the middle of danger. Zara inspected the cracked walls while Leon gathered his small pack. When they stepped out into the hallway, dust covered the floor in thin waves, and several panels had shifted. The building groaned as if unhappy with their presence, but nothing seemed ready to collapse. Outside, the world looked even more empty than before. The storm had carved deep lines into the ground and piled sand against the wreckage of Leon's ship. The sky was brighter now, a dull gray-blue fading toward silver. Zara approached the damaged vessel first. She kneeled beside the torn engines and studied the wires and scorched surfaces. This ship will not fly again, she said softly. I know, Leon replied. But the distress beacon might still work if we can repair the internal circuits. Zara placed her hand on the twisted metal. We will try. Leon climbed inside through the bent hatch. The interior smelled like burned plastic. Panels had fallen, wires hung loose, and sparks flickered when he touched certain switches. He winced as he crawled under a half-broken control board and inspected the beacon module. The main unit was cracked, but the transmitter coil looked salvageable. Zara leaned inside the ship, her large frame nearly filling the entrance. She handed him tools from the crate he had managed to retrieve earlier. "Tell me what to do," she said. Leon looked up. "You want to help? I am strong, but I am also trained in engineering," Zara said. "Helping you fix this will help both of us." Leon smiled. "Then we make a good team." Zara blinked once, almost shyly, before focusing on the wires again. They worked together for hours. Leon guided her hands, showing which wires needed twisting, which pieces needed steady pressure, and which components could still function. Zara's strength allowed her to remove damaged panels that Leon would have struggled with. Meanwhile, Leon handled the delicate internal circuits that required small and careful fingers. The two of them moved in perfect rhythm. One strong, one precise. Watching Zara work, Leon felt a warm respect growing. She wasn't just powerful. She was patient, thoughtful, and surprisingly gentle. At one point, Leon noticed her glowing lines brighten again. "You're glowing more," he said. "I glow when focused," Zara replied, though she avoided meeting his eyes. "And when something feels important." Leon didn't push the question further, even though he felt curious. Instead, he slid the beacon core into place. "Try pressing that switch." Zara pressed it carefully. The beacon sputtered, flashed red twice, then went dark again. Leon let out a slow breath. "It's alive, but not enough." The antenna outside was torn off in the crash. "Leon." Zara stood. "I can search for the missing parts. The storm may have thrown them far." "I'll come with you," Leon said. Zara looked at him with concern. "Your leg still hurts. It's better now. And I don't want you searching alone. This planet isn't safe." Zara considered this for a moment before nodding. Together, they walked into the open landscape. Following faint drag marks in the sand, the wind had softened into a thin whisper, but the quiet made the world feel even more abandoned. They reached a small ridge where pieces of broken metal lay scattered. The storm had flung parts of the ship far across the plain. Zara lifted a large panel almost as big as Leon himself, checking underneath. She found the bent antenna but frowned at the damage. "This will not hold a signal far," she said. Leon took it in his hands. "Maybe we don't need far. If we can push even a weak signal into orbit, a passing ship might detect it." "It is risky," Zara said. "So is staying here forever." Leon answered, with a tired smile. Zara looked at him quietly, then nodded and followed him back to the shelter. Inside the old building, they placed the antenna on a metal table. Leon began repairing its bent frame while Zara hammered the edges with careful force. He watched how precise she was, despite her strength. "You're really skilled," he said softly. "I had many roles on my vessel," she replied. "Engineer, navigator, sometimes protector." "That fits you," Leon said. Zara paused. "Does it?" "You protect people," Leon said simply. Her eyes softened slightly, and her glowing lines warmed with light. They finished shaping the antenna and carried it outside the shelter, where Zara helped Leon secure it on a tall metal pole near the entrance. Her height made the task much easier than it would have been for him alone. Once everything was in place, they connected the antenna back to the beacon's wiring. Leon crouched beside the control panel and flipped the switch. The beacon flickered again, then glowed faint yellow. Zara leaned in. "Is that good?" "It means it's sending," Leon said. "Not strong, but sending." A small smile formed on Zara's face. "Then hope has returned." Leon watched her expression, noticing how much she meant it. Someone who had lived alone for so long finally had a chance to leave. But the moment of relief didn't last long. A low rumble echoed across the plain. Leon turned sharply, scanning the horizon. The sky darkened again. But this time, not with sand. Something mechanical approached. A distant shape, moving slowly but steadily. Zara's eyes narrowed. Not a storm. Leon realized the truth a second later. A drone. Someone else was on this planet before. Maybe more machines are still active. The drone rose above the ridge, its metal body sharp and rusted. Its sensors glowed bright red as it locked onto movement. A broken machine with unpredictable programming, never a good sign. Zara moved in front of Leon instantly, lifting a large scrap metal panel as a shield. "Stay behind me," she said firmly. Leon didn't argue. The drone fired a burst of thin energy beams that melted small holes into the sand near them. Zara shielded most of them, her strength keeping the metal sheet steady. Leon could feel the heat radiating past him. "We need to disable it," he shouted. "I will draw its fire," Zara said. Before Leon could stop her, she charged forward with incredible speed. Her tall figure moved like a silver streak across the plain. The drone shifted direction to target her, firing again and again. Zara dodged each shot by inches, her glowing lines brightening as she pushed herself harder. Leon looked around desperately. He spotted a broken piece of scrap with electrical wiring still attached. He grabbed it, twisted the wires to spark, and ran toward the drone's blind spot. He wasn't fast like Zara, but he didn't need to be. He only needed one chance. Zara distracted the drone long enough for Leon to reach its rear stabilizer. He jammed the electrified metal into the vent. Sparks exploded, and the drone shook violently before crashing into the sand. Zara hurried to Leon, her steps quick and heavy. "Are you hurt?" Leon wiped sweat from his forehead. "No. Are you?" She shook her head. "No damage." Leon rested his hands on his knees, breathing hard. That was close. Zara looked down at him with something between relief and admiration. "You risked yourself," she said. "For me." "You risked yourself first," Leon answered. "We protect each other." Zara stared at him a moment, then slowly nodded. "Yes, we do." They dragged the ruined drone into the shelter so it wouldn't attract other machines. Leon studied the internal parts it contained, a small power cell still usable. "This is perfect," he said. "We can boost the beacon." Zara's eyes brightened. "Then someone will hear us." By evening, they had connected the power cell to the beacon. When Leon activated it, the light turned green, steady and strong. "It's broadcasting at full strength," he said. "Someone will pick it up." Zara stood silently beside him, her expression unreadable. "If your people come, they may not want to help me." Leon looked firmly into her eyes. "I'll make sure they do." "Why?" she whispered. "Because you're my partner in survival now," he said. "And I don't abandon partners." Zara held his gaze. Something deep and warm filled her eyes, a feeling she hadn't allowed herself to show in years. The beacon hummed through the night. Leon and Zara sat together near the heat generator. They were quiet, but not in an uncomfortable way. It was a peaceful silence, shared between two people who had faced danger together. Zara finally spoke. "If we escape, what will you do?" "Return to my ship job," Leon said. "But I'd like you to come with me." Zara looked surprised, as if no one had ever asked her that. "You would take an alien with you?" "Zara, not just any alien," Leon said softly. "You." Zara's glowing lines brightened again, warm and gentle. Before she could speak, a sharp beep burst from the beacon panel. Leon jumped to his feet. "Signal detected. Someone is approaching." Zara stood too, but her expression was mixed hope and fear together. Leon placed a hand on her arm. "Whatever happens, we face it together." She looked down at him, slowly nodding. Together, far above them, in the cold sky, a ship began descending through the clouds. Their rescue had arrived. The rescue signal grew stronger with every passing minute. Leon and Zara stepped outside the old building and stared at the sky as a distant light pushed through the fading clouds. The ship descended slowly, dust swirling under its thrusters. After everything they had faced, the storms, the loneliness, the broken machines, seeing that ship felt unreal to Leon. Zara stood beside him, silent and tense, her tall frame straight and alert. The vessel landed gently on the cracked ground. Its metallic doors opened with a hiss, and two humans stepped out wearing clean, polished gear. Leon recognized the uniforms immediately. Exploration Division, same as his company. Relief washed through him. He raised his arm to wave. "Over here," he called out. The two rescuers turned their heads in his direction, clearly surprised to see someone alive. But their expressions changed when they noticed the massive alien woman standing beside Leon. One of them, a man named Harris, whom Leon had met before during training, stared with wide eyes. "Leon, is that?" Zara straightened, calm but ready for anything. Leon stepped forward to shield her slightly, not because she was weak, but because he wanted her to feel safe. "It's okay," Leon said firmly. "She's Zara. She saved my life." Harris exchanged a tense look with the other rescuer, Mira. "Leon. This planet was marked abandoned because of dangerous machine activity. You shouldn't be here." "I didn't choose to crash," Leon said. "But Zara has been here for years. She survived alone. She deserves rescue too." Mira glanced at Zara, then at Leon. "Is she hostile?" "No," Leon said. "She protected me. If not for her, I'd already be dead." Zara remained quiet, watching everything carefully. She knew she had no control over how humans would react to her. She also knew they could choose to leave her behind, but she stood her ground with dignity, hoping Leon's words mattered. Harris lowered his guard a little. "If she's stranded too, we can run a clearance check. But our ship only has 2 spare stabilizer seats. One of them is yours." Leon stepped closer to Zara without hesitation. "Then, she takes the other seat." Zara's eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected him to make that choice so quickly. Harris rubbed his forehead. "Leon, her size alone might exceed weight limits." Leon crossed his arms. "Then we remove something else. Supplies, cargo, anything not alive." Zara gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Leon," she said softly, "you do not need to fight for me. If your people cannot take me, then you must leave. I can survive here longer." Her words made Leon turn sharply toward her. "No, absolutely not. You survived because you had no choice. But now you have one. I'm not leaving you on a dead world." Zara looked at him, her glowing lines dimming and brightening again slowly, reflecting her emotions. She had never heard someone speak for her like that. She had spent so long believing she was forgotten, unwanted, left to fade into the silent dust. But Leon spoke with certainty as if her life truly mattered. Mira stepped closer to Zara, studying her calmly. "Are you a threat to humans?" "No," Zara replied. "I only wish to leave this world." Mira nodded and touched her wrist communicator. "I'm running her bioscan. If she doesn't carry harmful organisms or weapons built into her biology, then technically we can bring her." Harris sighed. "You know the company will question us for this." Mira shrugged. "Let them. Our job is rescue." Leon smiled gratefully at her. A few seconds later, Mira's scanner beeped. "She's clear. Stable vitals. No dangerous pathogens. Her energy lines are interesting, but harmless." Harris looked defeated but relieved. "Fine. Both of you get on the ship before another storm rolls in." Zara breathed out slowly, the tension in her shoulders releasing. Leon glanced up at her, and she gave him a small, soft nod. He could tell she didn't fully believe she was safe yet, but hope had returned to her eyes. They climbed the ramp together. Zara had to bend slightly to enter, but once inside, she looked around with wonder. The ship was clean, bright, and full of familiar sounds she hadn't heard in years. Steady hums, soft beeps, the quiet pulse of a functioning engine. For her, it felt like stepping from darkness into daylight. Leon guided her to the stabilizer seats. Harris adjusted the settings, muttering about weight distribution, but finally secured both of them. "You'll feel pressure when we lift off," Harris said. "Hold on." Zara placed her large hand on the metal bar. Leon sat beside her and tightened his straps. When the engines ignited, Zara's glowing lines brightened instinctively as the ship lifted from the ground. The dead world shrank beneath them. Zara looked out the window for a long time. Leon leaned slightly toward her. "You okay?" "I never thought I would see the sky from above again," she whispered. "It feels unreal." Leon smiled. "Welcome back to hope." The ship broke through the clouds and entered the soft dark of the upper atmosphere. Zara watched the world fade behind her, and her chest tightened with emotion. She wasn't going back there again. She wasn't alone anymore. After an hour of travel, the ship reached a docking station orbiting the sector. Harris and Mira guided Leon and Zara into a private medical room for checkups. 2 doctors came in, surprised by Zara's size but respectful. They checked Leon first. He was dehydrated, bruised, and exhausted, but stable. Zara watched with clear concern until the doctor said he was fine. Then it was her turn. The doctors scanned her body, studying her glowing lines and internal readings. Their faces showed fascination and confusion, but also admiration. "You're incredibly strong," one doctor said. "Your physiology is advanced. It's a miracle you survived alone." Zara glanced at Leon. "I had help at the end." Leon smiled faintly from the medical bed. "We helped each other." After the checkup, they were given clean clothes. Leon got a standard uniform, while Zara received specially arranged fabric panels that could wrap around her tall form comfortably. She looked much more dignified in them, and her glowing lines appeared brighter. When the exams were finished, Leon and Zara were allowed to rest in a quiet corner of the station. The hum of machines replaced the howling wind of the old planet. The air smelled clean. Light wasn't dim or broken. It was warm and steady. Zara sat on a reinforced bench while Leon sat beside her. She had to bend her knees to fit, but she didn't mind. Leon looked up at her. "How does it feel to be free of that world?" Zara took a slow breath. "Like waking from a long sleep. A painful one. I thought I would die there. I thought no one would ever speak to me again. But you came from the sky. Like a strange answer to a question I did not know I was asking." Leon laughed gently. "What question?" "Whether kindness still existed," she said softly. Leon felt something warm spread in his chest. He didn't know how to respond, so he simply smiled. A station officer walked up to them. "Leon Carter." "Zara. Command wants to speak with you both. They want to hear what happened." Leon stood, but Zara hesitated. "Will they send me away?" she asked quietly. Leon reached out and touched her arm lightly. "If they try, I'll speak for you." "You cannot control them," she whispered. "No," Leon admitted, "but I can stand with you. You won't face anyone alone." Zara looked at him, really looked, and something deep and emotional passed between them. She had known him only briefly, but in that short time, he had become the first person to protect her, not because of duty, but because he cared. "I trust you," she said. They entered the command room, where a group of officers sat around a table. Leon explained the crash, the storms, the broken machines, and how Zara had rescued him. He described her skills, her calm nature, her cooperation, and her bravery in defending him from the drone. Zara spoke when asked, her voice steady and respectful. She told them how long she had been trapped, how her crew had escaped without her, and how she had survived using the old facility. The officers listened quietly. After some discussion among themselves, the head commander stood. "We do not abandon those in need," he said. "Zara, you are welcome to travel with us. You will be given temporary space and full rights of safety." Zara bowed her head slightly. "Thank you." Leon let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. He felt his shoulders finally relax. When they left the meeting room, Zara turned to him. "Everything is changing for me," she said. "It feels frightening, but also good." Leon smiled. "Change usually feels like that." "Will you stay close?" she asked. "Always," Leon replied without hesitation. They walked quietly through the station corridors, adjusting to their new reality. Zara no longer felt like a shadow on a dead world. She was surrounded by life, light, and possibility. Leon was no longer a stranded explorer. He had found someone who changed him in ways he hadn't expected. Later that night, as they sat together near the viewing window, watching stars drift across the sky, Zara lowered her voice. "When I was alone on that planet, I thought my story had ended," she said. Leon looked up at her with a gentle expression. "Maybe it was just waiting for the part where we met." Zara's glowing lines warmed softly. "Then, I am glad it waited." Leon nodded. "Me too." They watched the stars silently, sharing a peace neither had felt in years. Their journeys had collided on a broken world, but now they were heading somewhere new together. For the first time since she had been stranded, Zara felt something she had forgotten, a future. And Leon felt something he hadn't expected. That future didn't feel right, unless she was in it. Their story, once shaped by survival, had become something stronger, something hopeful, something human, something shared between two souls who had saved each other.